I play maybe twice a month at most. I'll shoot anywhere between 90 and 100, or I could really blow it up, but I could shoot in the 80s as well. And I don't feel like I know where it's going. Even though I do swing the club a lot, I feel like I'm trying not to miss. And if I shank one, then I don't know why, other than maybe tempo, and then I get very panicky because I don't know what to even fix. Yeah. But if I hit a good one, I feel like I look like I know what I'm doing, and my score should be a little bit lower.
Right now it's very clear of like, okay, we have two problems to solve. It's like, why do we hit fat shots and how do we fix it? And then why do we hit pulls and how do we fix it?
Okay.
When you can get really clear on what those macro things are, it's easier to make sure you stay in the correct lanes once you start digging into swing stuff. You don't get any like, go down any dark alleys. So for you, in terms of the fat contact, hitting behind the ball, a lot of this, and we'll show this on the screen here, a lot of this is due to, we would just call this sort of weight distribution. So I've got that stick. You see that stick is kind of even with the golf ball, right? And so if we look at your body relative to where that stick is, at setup, you set up pretty good, right? Let's say your weight is kind of like 50-50 in your feet. Okay. Your body's kind of right in the middle. If I slide this in and we said on a perfect shot, we want that club. Let me borrow that club, John, and let me have you stand probably right there. So on a perfect shot, if I have this ball on the ground like this, and I want to hit it solid, there's going to be a correlation with where my body moves, weight shift, and where the club's going to hit the ground. Okay. Right? That makes sense. With any sport. So the more I move my body, any part of me, away from the target, imagine this line would go forever, the more I would move me to the right of this. Does that look like that would increase the odds of hitting behind it or decrease it, right? Increase.
Increase.
Definitely would make me hit more here. So that means the more I move to the right, the more odds of me hitting fat.
Okay.
And that also applies during the downswing. So I have to make sure, ideally I wouldn't move so far to the right, but I have to make sure I move forward on the way down also. If I move my body more lower than upper forward, that looks like it would be easier to hit out in front here, right? So for you, you move a little bit too much. You can come right back over here. If we look at that line, you move a little bit too much away from the target during the backswing. You call it like shifting into your right side. And not by a ton, it's not like crazy, but if I were to look at your weight in your feet there, I can see the weight's on the outside part of your right foot. So I'm just zoomed in on the right foot here.
Okay.
The weight's on the outside part of the right foot, right? You see that?
Yes.
And if we were to just kind of look and you were guessing, you'd be like, okay, what percentage, if your feet were on a weight scale, what percentage of weight would be on your right versus your left? I would say 75 or 80% on your right and maybe 20% on your left. So in a perfect world, to hit the ball consistently more solid, I would keep it 50-50.
Okay.
50-50. Now, since you go that way, you have to make sure then, like, because you could shift that much to the right, but you need to really make sure you go forward enough on the way down. And if we look at you compared to like a model, we'll put a model up here, look at the front side of your hip, you don't move forward enough on the way down then. So there's very little shifting forward. I would say at impact, your weight's kind of just 50-50. It should be more like 70 or so on the left. Okay. More forward motion. So that would be like the main thing. You have a lot of good in here. That'd be like the main thing that leads to the fat shots is the weight distribution. Okay. Right? And then we're going to talk in a little bit about why you get the pulls to the left. The reason you hit the pulls to the left is twofold. Number one is setup related. So your shoulders are a little too open, pointed to the left. And number two is swing plane. In that during the downswing, your swing plane is a little bit too far steep or over the top, swinging to the left, which I'll explain as we go. Okay. But let's focus on the fat shots first. So I'm going to give you this 8-iron, and you can take a setup right to that golf ball. Now, in terms of where your weight feels at setup, tell me, where do you feel like your weight is in your feet there at the setup position? 50-50?
50-50 now.
50-50. And then when you make a backswing, I'd like you to make a backswing, again, assuming your normal is like 80-20, and on the outside of the foot, I want you to show me what feels like 60-40, and that 40% is on the inside of your foot. Okay. 60-40 inside of your foot. Now you can set up a little bit more here to make that easier, or we can just feel like it goes a little bit more there.
I'm gonna go a little wider, just a hair wider.
Okay.
And just take it back and try to get to that distribution?
Yeah, you're not gonna hit, just work a backswing where you feel like you're 60 on your left, 40 on your right, and the weight in the middle. See, like that right there, in terms of your weight in your feet, is probably 50-50.
Okay.
But it feels like you have more weight on your left foot than normal, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So let's do that one more time. So we're starting 50-50. We're gonna feel 60-40. And when you guys are watching this, if you have weight distribution issues away from the target, you can go whenever you're ready, John. 60 left, 40 right. Perfect. Let's do that one more time. You have to exaggerate, right? So like in reality, I just want him to stay 50-50, but he has to feel like he's 60 forward, and then we'll hit and look on video and it should look perfect. You want to minimize the shift away from the target if you struggle with hitting behind the ball. Now this is going to be part one. Part two is going to be then we have to shift forward, right? We have to shift forward. So John, let's make a swing here where you're going to also make a downswing.
Okay.
You're going to start 50-50. You're gonna feel like you're 60 on your left, 40 on your right, inside of the right foot, but then also make a downswing where you clip the mat. Same sensations, 60-40, swing through. Excellent job. One more time. We're gonna start 50-50. You're gonna feel 60-40 with the weight inside of the right foot. Beautiful job, awesome. Now we're gonna hit a shot with just that.
Okay.
And we said to fix fat shots, you want to eliminate being too far behind the ball or this line and work more forward.
Okay.
Now that means there's three parts there, right? There's where you set up, there's where you go during the backswing, and there's where you go during the downswing. Okay. So to eliminate all the fat shots, we'd set up centered, 50-50. You'd stay 50-50 during the backswing.
Okay.
And then you'd shift forward.
Okay.
So you might still not shift forward on this first ball, okay? But let's control the setup and the backswing parts, then we'll talk the downswing.
Okay.
So we're 50-50 at setup. We're gonna feel like we're 60 on the left, 40 on the right, with the weight inside of the left foot. How was that contact?
It felt really good.
Very solid, okay? Now, when we look at this is the second video here. When we look at this, now we're gonna see, in reality, how does that look now?
I'm still leaning to the outside of my back foot, but less.
Yeah, I would say less. And I would say if I looked at that golfer and I was like, okay, what does his weight look in his feet? I'd say that looks pretty 50-50 to me, right? Mm-hmm. Compared to our normal. So if we go back to swing number one and we look at we're looking at now the top of the backswing with the first swing versus the second. Now we look at that there, that looks like you've shifted more away from the target. Now it's not a ton, it's only 10, we're only changing it 10% or so, but there's your new one, right? Which is much more neutral in the middle, whereas there's just a little bit of shift away from the target. Very, very good job.
Thank you.
Let's do that one more time again.
Okay.
So again, this will be common for you if you have the same things with your weight shift. Especially if you're used to shifting too far off the target, you probably need to feel like you stay like 60 or 70 on your left. It's like if you shift way off the target, it might feel 70% of your left leg, but we're just shooting for 50-50. That sounded really good. Give me some feedback there, John.
That's as good as I can hit it.
Yeah, very solid.
More online as well.
Now, and this you want to keep as simple as possible. If you go play and you have weight shift issues and you only have to think about one part of the puzzle, which is don't shift as much on the way back, then you don't have to add anything in more, okay? You can keep it as simple as that. We're gonna talk through the downswing part too, but keep it as simple as that if you can. So essentially with the weight shift, good job on this too, very solid. And the goal for this is if you normally hit an 8-iron, and let's say you would hit 4 out of 10 fat shots, 6 out of 10 pretty good, or 50-50, let's say it was 50-50. When you do this, we're looking for that to go from hitting 5 out of 10 fat to 4, 3, 2, 1. So it might not be 0, okay, but now it might be, hey, I only hit 2 out of 10 fat instead of 5. Perfect, right? Yeah. Let me keep getting better at those pieces. Now, in terms of the weight distribution, if you take your setup there one more time, we're 50-50 at setup. The backswing, we're gonna feel 60 on the left, 40 on the right, inside of the right foot. Let's do that to the top of the backswing.
Top of the backswing.
Your goal from there is essentially to get right to your follow through where you have as close to 100% on your left foot as possible. Yep, swing all the way through.
Okay.
So 50-50 to start, 60-40 left at the top, and then you're getting to 100.
Okay.
And I think if you just give yourself a real clear, like, hey, I'm trying to get to that 100, yeah, you should hit all those checkpoints of like, okay, now it's 60 left, 70 left, 80 left, 90 left, like progressively more and more and more and more and more forward by just getting to that end goal.
Yeah.
But you definitely don't need to be shy about getting more weight into your lead side, left foot right away to start the downswing.
Okay.
Right, so let's do one more with that. So we're 60-40 on the left, keeping the weight inside of the right foot. You can check your inside of the right foot, you guys, as well too. You don't ever want the weight really to roll on the outside of the foot. There's no benefit to that. You can keep it on the inside of the foot and then really push off that to start down. Beautiful, that was pure contact. You also notice how all of a sudden you're not pulling them that much.
Right.
Right? And so one of the benefits of the weight shift too, we got the stick in line with the golf ball and me. We know that the more I am to the right at any point in the swing increases the odds of fat shots. That'll be true for any of you. That means that the weight to the left decreases the odds of fat shots, or said different, increases the odds of hitting it solid. Some people get really nervous about the weight being left. I just want you to start 50-50, stay 50-50, and then move forward. But you have to maybe feel like you're a little left, Now, there's a correlation with where your weight is relative to the ball here too, and your swing path. The simple version is the more I have weight on the right foot, my body to the right, the more I'm gonna swing over the top and to the left and hit some variation of like pulls and then potentially fades with the longer clubs, right? The more my weight is forward and moves forward, the more that the club's gonna swing from inside. And so when we start to talk about fixing your pulls, the main thing that causes your pulls, and the main thing if you're at home watching for your pulls, is the direction the club is moving, right? Which would make sense like any sport. If I was hitting a ball or hockey or whatever, the more I move the club to the left through the ball, the more I want to hit it which way? Left, right? The more I move it to the right, the more I'm going to hit it to the right. And so you can consciously think about that, and we could talk about that, but if you just have your weight more forward, a lot of that should sort of start to solve itself. Go ahead, fire when ready, buddy. 60-40 on the left with the weight on the inside of the right foot, and then go forward. Beautiful. I mean, how pure is that, dude? Those are crunched. So like those you hit, that is probably, I would say when you hit that third or fourth shot and you're like, that's a good shot, that's as good as I can hit it, all three of those shots to me, you can press better than that third one, right?
Yes.
And that's by controlling the weight distribution. Now, the only other piece I'd say in terms of the pulls for you that I'd look at, again, would be swing plane. So the weight distribution controls the contact, the swing plane controls the direction. Now, if I were to draw a line like up your shaft at setup, during your backswing, we have a little bit of the shoulders at setup. We're gonna clean up your alignment, like I said. Okay. And then your swing plane, when you go back, you notice how during the takeaway, I'm just kind of showing the takeaway here, your hands and club go out this way quite a bit. They go out away from you. And when they go out away from you, you start to go a little bit flat on the way back to the top, and there's a little bit of that steepening right there. So the shaft is a little bit more vertical coming down than it is going back. Okay. Now that's not the end of the world. You could have that, hit it solid, shoot in the low 80s, have fun, enjoy the game. But when you're having your shoulders open at setup and the club working that far out early, when I have the club work out like this early, like here, my hands and arms, the club has nowhere to go but flat. Anytime I'm going out like this, it's got nowhere to go but flat. Okay. And when it goes flat, it's got nowhere to go but steep. Okay. And when it goes steep, I've got nowhere to go but pulls. So out, flat, steep pull. Okay. In a perfect world, your takeaway would go kind of right down your toe line. So your hands from here wouldn't go out, they wouldn't go in that much, they'd go basically straight back. But since you go out this way, which way do you think you need to feel?
The opposite way.
Yeah.
Inside almost?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're gonna probably need to feel like your hands work in just to have it look normal. Okay. Right? So we're gonna neutralize your takeaway a little bit. So if we get your shoulders closed a little more and we neutralize your takeaway, that should fix the shaft part, right? Now we're putting a bunch of stuff in 20 minutes, right? But I believe for you for the next like 5 years, if you just focus on staying more centered and shifting forward, that'll clean up almost all your fat shots. And if you just focus on closing your shoulders a little bit, just to get them square, and neutralizing your original kind of early part of your swing, that'll make your swing work from inside, and we should hit really solid kind of high, tight draws. Okay. Does that make sense? Yes. So shoulder alignment, and then a little bit of swing path. Now this is a bunch of things for 20 minutes, right? But like basically, if you were to come in and see me or we worked on your swing every single week, we would only talk about these 3 things until they were very easy and they were in there.
Okay.
So next week you shouldn't be doing, if I put out a new video on like shoulder tilt or something, watch it.
Okay.
But don't implement anything new.
Okay.
We're going weight shift, shoulders closed, hand path. Weight shift, shoulders closed. And that might be your same mantra for like 6 months.
Okay.
Till we get it. So it's a lot in a short period of time, but
Right.
this is it, right? This is the whole deal. Okay,
Yeah.
let's take your setup there.
Okay.
Let's talk a little bit of shoulder alignment. So your normal shoulder alignment is a little bit this way. This would mean like your forearms and shoulders, I'm gonna exaggerate, is a little open.
Okay.
And if your shoulder alignment's a little bit open like this, you could feel that would make you wanna swing the club that way.
Yeah.
Right? And so what we're gonna do is you're gonna feel like you take this right shoulder and pull that right shoulder back. So you're gonna feel like your shoulders go this way, like you're gonna close them a little.
Okay.
So it's gonna feel like your shoulders are a little bit closed. So this is gonna feel a little bit back, that a baby. And this arm is gonna feel a little bit under. Like even literally if I put this in, this is gonna feel exaggerated, but just to give you a point, let your right arm fold a little bit.
Oh,
Okay.
fold.
Yeah, now you can go ahead and grip the club. So how would you get down to the ball from there? Right, so
Sure.
let's say you go ahead and take your full setup where you feel fully comfortable. Good. Now let this bend a little more. Good. That a baby. So this is gonna feel like this is back. This is gonna feel like this is closed a little bit more. So your hips will stay pretty centered. Close your
Okay.
shoulders more. Point them more to the right. More. Good. Feel how closed that feels?
Yeah.
So that should put you in about a level spot. If you watch me for a second here,
Okay.
you can see my left forearm above my right arm. So if you hold the club up like this, now see how your right arm's above your left?
Yes.
It should be below your left.
Okay.
See the difference there?
Yeah.
And there's a little bit to do with how you hold the club on that. We're not going to get into all that today.
Okay.
But for you, that right arm, when you set up, I want that right arm to be underneath your left. So we got to be able to hold the club like this, and then this right arm, go ahead and put your hands on there. So you keep your grip on there the whole time. This arm is going to feel like it's underneath.
Okay.
Feel that?
Yeah.
So that arm is kind of tucked under,
Okay.
right? And then that right shoulder's pulled back. That's going to help you swing from inside more.
Okay.
Okay. So if we took this and now go ahead and bend your knees and bend down to a golf ball, that should feel like that stays inside like that.
Okay.
Feel how different that is?
Mm-hmm.
So that would be where your setup would be. And this could be back more. That a baby. Good. It's going to feel closed. Feel that difference there?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So you're going to feel like your shoulders are kind of probably pointed even like 10 yards more to the right of like where your target line is. And so when you guys are doing your shoulder alignment, I like that as a simple feel. So if your arms are here, you want to kind of have your right arm folded and underneath your left. So you can see my forearm when you do that. And then at setup, it's going to feel like that shoulder gets pulled back. I don't need to pull everything back, but just the shoulder. If my arm's under my left and my shoulder's back, it makes it much easier to swing from inside. It's like the starting point. Let's go ahead and do that there. Atta baby. That's it. Get the club head to the ball. Good. So that's how far back that needs to feel. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah? Cool. And let's go ahead and make a swing from there where you're feeling like you're staying 60 on your left. Yes, beautiful. Let's do that again. So we have the shoulders closed at setup. Atta baby. Close your shoulders more. Atta, that's good. So it's more coming from here. That's good. Awesome. And now when you go back, you're gonna feel 60 on your left. Yeah, good. Let's do one more. Now I'm gonna add in for John the hand path and all this stuff so he knows what to do for the next 12 months. Probably just getting the weight shift will be a good place to start. But if I show him this here now and he's got the next 12 months to work on it, this will feel like a lot in day one, but not a lot over the next year. Let's do one more with the shoulders. So the shoulders are closed at setup. We're gonna keep the weight left 60-40. That a baby. Now, the inside, let's just hit one with that so we have it. And then we're gonna do the inside part. And again, this is like maybe just the weight shift we'll start with, but let's give you a little taste of what's to come.
Okay.
60-40 on the left, that's your primary goal. Underneath that is just the general idea that your shoulders feel more closed. So keep a lot of focus on the weight staying 60-40 left. Atta baby, good. Because as soon as we start to put a slightly new piece in, it's easy to not get the first piece. And you need all your attention in the beginning on the weight shift part.
Okay.
So if you were to leave here and you're like, hey, I'm playing golf next, 2 days from now, I would say feel the weight shift, and if you hit some pulls, just aim a little to the right.
Okay.
But to fix them, would be this combined with a little bit of hand path. And when I say hand path, let me give you a little feel here. So you go in there with your setup, shoulders are closed. Yeah, good job, dude. Hold the club up like this again. Fully, yeah, let's get these suckers fully parallel. And then that right arm stays underneath that. Let your arm relax. Good. Right arm underneath your left. That's the little gap you're looking to keep.
Okay.
Yep, that a baby. And then the shoulders pulled back. Yeah, exactly. Perfect, dude. Perfect. Now your hand path, keep your hands on the club, normally will go this way.
Yep.
Okay, your grip pressure is also 100 out of 10.
Sure.
So let's get that to like 10 out of 10 would be good. That a baby. So you go this way, right? It should go here.
Okay.
But because you go here, it's gonna have to feel like you're trying to essentially almost get this butt of the club to hit your leg. Feel how in that is? So right now, your butt of the club is, let's say, 4 inches away from your thigh.
Okay.
You wanna feel like that goes 3, 2, 1.
Okay.
Okay. So the two things that are gonna help you fix your pulls are closing the shoulders at setup and having the hands work more in during the takeaway.
Okay.
Okay. So let's do a couple with that. Now, when you guys are practicing that, the benefit or the curse for John right now, because that should all feel exaggerated, correct?
Yes.
So all this shit should feel different and weird. When you're working on it by yourself, if I wasn't standing here doing this with him, he probably wouldn't do the things enough. So you have to make sure you do them enough. How do you know? You have to confirm with video. Has to feel exaggerated. So let's go in there with the shoulders closed. So just a backswing, no downswing. If I put my club like this, your hands should not hit that during your takeaway. They should stay, yeah. That feel more inside to you than normal?
Yes.
Let's do that again. Shoulders are closed at setup, and the hand path is working in. I'm gonna do it even a little more here. Yeah, you feel how in that is? So you're gonna feel like they kind of wrap right around you. Let's do that one more time. Shoulders are closed, hands are in, weight is left. Shoulders closed, hands in, weight left. That'll baby good. These would be pieces that would be like the 3 easiest things. Let's go again. The 3 easiest things go to fat shots and pulls. Make sure your hand path is in enough, your weight stays 50-50, and the shoulders aren't too open. Yeah, you feel how in that is?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, let's hit with that. So you're gonna go over the ball. Let me hop in here for a second.
Okay.
This is sort of what your rehearsals are gonna look like. You're gonna take your setup. I'm gonna feel like when I go back, right now my shoulders feel closed, my right shoulder feels pulled back, my right arm's underneath the left, I can see my left forearm. I'm gonna feel like my weight stays 60 on my left and on the inside part of my right foot as my hand path works in. Reset, shoulders closed, weight stays 60 left, hand path works in, and then I'm gonna hit. And then I would come back and I'd look at video. I'd look at video every single swing for my first like 10 or 20 swings. Like if you did this 20 times a day with video feedback, this would be so simple in 3 months.
Okay.
But just like that.
Both angles?
Both angles. And from face on, you're just looking to stay centered. And from down the line, you're looking at the shoulders closed and the hand path.
Okay.
And then the coaching, like for me to be able to coach you, would be confirming those pieces and saying like, how much? How much in should I go? When do I start doing the next piece? So on and so forth, right? But let's do 1 or 2 reps with that here. The shoulders at setup. Shoulders close more. Keep your weight 60 left and have the hands work way in during the takeaway. Yeah. Perfect, dude. Watch this. Beautiful job. Hey, beautiful. Watch this. So now we're looking at the hand path working more in during the takeaway. So watch where your hand path goes. Oh, there we go. See how it goes straight back?
Yeah.
Now you're deep at the top, and now there's no steepening coming down. So that is way better. That's an excellent job. Let's do that again. Shoulders closed. Weight stays left, 60-40 left. Hand path in. Yeah, good, dude. Beautiful job. Now the ball's curving more left when you do that, yeah?
Yeah.
Curving more left. We'll get to that as we go. Same thing, beautiful job. Shoulders closed. Hand path in, weight to the left. Yeah, beautiful job, dude. How good is that? Very good.
Thank you.
So that should feel weird, and goofy and look correct. And when you guys are practicing this, that's what you're going for. On day one, I say that all the time, and it's a good phrase. If you're changing something, it has to feel weird, very exaggerated, but when you look on camera, like you saw your hand path, you'd be like, oh my gosh, that's perfect. Hey, I feel like I'm 60-40, but I just look like every tour player, right? It should look perfect, but feel goofy, right, is the goal.